All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So today's lesson is going to be about the peasants, the serfs, manners, and things like that. Now, some of these words may seem kind of like over your head, but that's why we're here to learn about that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the objective. All right, so analyze how the three field system worked. So we're going to be looking at that. We're going to examine the setup on manners in England. Now, manners and manners are two different things. Remember, manners, like, please, thank yous, and all that stuff, those are manners. These are manors. Okay, these are buildings. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. You guys create an argument on which system is better, the barter system or straight money. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that later on. So here is your warm-up picture. So tell me, I think on the questions I put down three things you see, or make a list of things you see. So go ahead and do that. And the second one is, what do you think is going on in this picture? Okay, so look at that. Now, one in kind of interesting thing I want to point out to you guys in this warm-up picture is this. Look at the background. You see those little looking stars things? Now, one of the things you could be responding to is, do you think that's night or do you think that's early morning? So which one do you think they'd be still working? Earlier in the morning or you know, basically till late at night when the stars are coming out? Okay, so go ahead, finish up this warm up, but we're moving on in three, two, one. So here's the thing: the peasants, they are the lowest class. Okay, um, the only people who they are above are actually slaves. Okay, basically the peasants, I mean, get paid close to nothing. They have really no rights. They're free, but they really can't do much. Um, and the thing is, they're used for their manual labor. Now, the population increases in the Middle Ages from 38 million to 74 million. And then there's another drop after that, but that's later on. But there are some new things when it comes to agriculture. So tools started becoming more and more popular, and new tools made life a little bit easier for the peasants. Excuse me. So the scythes, the axes, and sickle. Okay, those are the tools right there, up there you see on top, that the farmers would use or the peasants would use. So you got to break up hard ground. You got axes to clear off trees, scythes and sickles to basically cut down tall grass, things like that. You got the kind of like sledgehammer. You got the hoe. You got um, the pitchfork and shovel. So that's basically all you needed when it came to farming. Now the thing is, farmers use this system called the three field system because back in the day what they used to do was like farm all this land. They would all like plant, let's say, I don't know, carrots. Let's just say carrots. And let's say a you know disease comes through in the ground or insects, things like that, and they come by and they eat the whole crops. There goes your crops. Often gone. Okay. Now with the three field system, it's like this. In one field, you would have um, the planting, right? They're putting the plants in, things like that, the seeds. Next one, it's harvest. They start getting that food, whatever it is, cotton or whatever. Start picking that up, start getting it. And the other one's it's called follow, but this is basically when they're preparing the ground, letting animals graze through it, eating the little grass, and things like that, and also having them go to the restroom because that is manure. That helps the ground, helps the soil, helps the plants grow. So yeah, okay. Now the thing is too, you have to remember, one's one's ready to, the field's ready to be picked, one that they're planting the stuff, and another one they're preparing the field. So at all times they're moving around, okay, different times. One's going to be, if you plant it, it's going to be harvested soon. And once you harvest it, then it's going to be plowed and, followed and things like that, So that's the um, three farm system. All right, so based off what you learned so far, what are some benefits of having that three system? Okay, so give like two pieces of evidence, and really think about it. Why is that good to constantly have one um, being plowed, one field being plowed, one field, they're planting, and another field that they're harvesting, whatever it may be. Okay, so really think about it, and think about this too. Um, think about time of the year. Think about um, we're talking about the nutrients in the ground, things like that. So think like that to help you out, right? Get the ball going. So pause the video if you need to see more time. But if you don't, we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. So the manor system. As you guys can see from this picture, the manor is the kind of castle area. Okay. Now serfs, these were people who were not slaves, but they weren't nobles. They're somewhere in the middle, but closer more to the peasants. In 800 AD, they made up about 60% of the population. So, good chunk of the people who lived in Europe were serfs. Now, for men, what the daily life was like was working the fields, hunting, things like that. There were blacksmiths, being in the blacksmith shop and making whatever tools was needed, whatever weapons needed to be made, things like that. But the thing that made serfs better than peasants was that the serfs were actually had rights. They were really, in a sense, free, more free than the peasants, but they weren't being paid as well, as like the nobles, but being paid more than the peasants. So nobles, they're making less than, but making more than the peasants. Now, life for the women was, kind of, in a sense, it would be considered stereotypical. Women would be cleaning, cooking, taking care of the children. They'd be expected to produce children. So, yeah, okay. So that type of mentality where, oh, women should be like that, it really derived from this time. Kind of medieval thinking of this is how the woman should be, things like that. And now we thankfully have progressed where we no longer see women as just that. Okay. Now, all manors were different, but they basically had the same little things. It's in particularly three things. One, of course, a manor. All right, so a building or a structure that protected from invaders, from attack, sometimes even from the elements, the winds and the storms and things like that. They all of them had at least one church, at least one. Uh, and again, you have to remember these poor people, the serfs and the peasant alike, they really had nothing, really nothing. And to them, the only thing they really had was their mind and their soul. Now, their mind, they couldn't really get educated, so it's sad to say that kind of went out the window. But the thing they could focus on and could do something about was their soul. So they would go to church quite a bit. Okay, and they would try to do everything they can to please the Lord and basically try to live a good life, not complain as much, because the thing is, they know this life is temporary, the afterlife goes on. So take care of your soul because that's the ticket. Okay. The last thing that every manor had was forest land. Now, was it a lot? Was it little? It depended on the manor, but they still had forest land. Why? Protection. They had resources, whatever they needed wood for. So it was imperative that they had some type of forest land. Now, here's the thing: early in the medieval times, the manors were everywhere. They're, I mean, scattered about, and the number it's kind of wide. They say that there's anywhere from 25,000 to 65,000. Now, I had some students in the past ask me, Mr. Martinez, well, how come it's so big? Why is such a big difference? Why can it be like from 25 to 30,000? I tell them because the thing is, you have to remember, at this time, different manors, different places are basically trying to take over one another. So they are destroying each other. They're rebuilding. They may have located to another place. But yeah, so the different number of manors, it fluctuated so much. Because some places they counted places that weren't there anymore, and some places they never counted places that were there because they were built and then destroyed quickly. So that's why it's such a big number, such a big gap. All right, so your next picture says, look at the map of the manor setup, which one we were just looking at. Why would it be important to have the manor set up the way it is? Like that one right there, I was just showing you. Why would it be important to have those buildings and items near the manor? So I'm going to go back for a second to show you so you could like pause it. Okay, so you may want to pause it to answer the question, but if you're watching this and you're letting it go, that workshop, that's like the blacksmith's area. The church, the animals, grazing near. Again, like I was talking about, for protection, things like that. Why would it be important to have those things near the manor as opposed to like the barn, the water mill, um, the serfs, people's homes, you know, things like that. Why would it be important to have those blacksmith churches, where the animals are, close to the manor? Okay, so why would it be important to have those there? So take a couple seconds. If you got to go back to pause the video and answer the question, by all means do that. Okay. But we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. So we were talking about the harvest, when they harvest the food and stuff like that. And they basically had a little plan. Okay. August and September, the time went on, just last month. That would be the time to pick the grain, put in dry areas, things like that. Because the thing is, grains was used for bread, and bread was a staple for the winter. Okay, because as some of you guys know, animals migrate, animals hibernate. So either they're gone or they're sleeping, and you can't find them. Okay, and so wintertime comes, you need something that's going to be lasting for a while, and a lot of times it was bread. Okay, in October, like right now, they're working the land. They're getting the land prepared. They're cleaning it up, things like that. And in November time, that's when they're looking at the livestock. Do we kill this goat, shave the skin off, and then use it for leather or use the fur for blankets, things like that? Or are we going to keep the animal in the barn, feed it, take care of it, and then come, February, have it grazing out again, and maybe it might get pregnant, you never know. Okay. So they have to make decisions on livestock there and then because again, winter's coming. They may not have enough food, so for themselves or the animal. So what are you gonna do? February, March, the plowing for the spring. Get the ground ready. You know, um, sometimes, however, like I said, in February, the ground may still be hard because of a long winter. And if that's the case, they had basically to wait, or they could use the pickaxe. But even then, it's like going against rock sometimes. When that ground is ice, it's hard. So the next thing came is in 1100s. The barter system started to decline. Now I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to a remate or the flea market, but you can talk down the price of things, right? But the barter system really was more like a okay, I want a sword from you. What will it cost me? And let's say I am a farmer. They might say, give me a sack of potatoes and 5 loaves of bread. I'd be like, oh, that might be too much. How about a sack of potatoes, 2 loaves of bread, and a couple apples? I don't know, So that type of negotiating, that's the barter, but it's stuff you can use. You know, you can use food, right? I don't know anybody who could eat a sword, or eat a blanket, but they can use a blanket, so or they can use other items, tools, and things like that. So you might say, hey, how about this? A shovel, a pickaxe, and a sickle for a sword. Cool, that sounds like a good deal. And you trade. So instead of money, you're trading items. And you're trying to find that you're trying to negotiate, find that medium, that balance where they want, they're satisfied, you're satisfied. The problem is, um, a lot of people when they did this, they would have to either have the stuff with them or go get it. You know, and imagine carrying sacks of potatoes and bread and apples and stuff like that to get a sword. You know, some people saw no problem. Some people I'd rather not. Okay, but then came the money system where it was more 2 pieces of gold. Oh, I can give you a thing of carrots. Yeah, that's all nice, but I'd rather have the gold pieces or the silver pieces. Okay, that is when the barter system for items, you know, items for items, that started to decline. Okay. Now, cities started to grow from 1000 to 1100 BC to the AD. Old cities started to return. So, like cities like Rome, which fell a long time ago, starts to come back. Cities like um, in ancient Egypt, little cities there, Cairo, some of that start to come back. Okay. But with that come new cities. Now, the new cities basically look at the old city and go, okay, how did they crumble? What did they do that was wrong? And a lot of times was their protection was weak. A lot of times it was their walls. They weren't manned, they weren't big enough, stuff like that. So newer cities had walls, towers, guarding towers, things like that. So they could feel protected inside, knowing, oh, there's somebody watching, someone taking watch, you know. So if anything does come up, we can have an alert at least. So walls were crucial. So here's my question to you. Why do you think the barter system basically went away and money was desired? So, I mean, again, you're going to get the stuff you want, more or less. You might not get the 3 sacks of potatoes and 5 loaves of bread and some of that you wanted, but you might get 3 sacks of potatoes and 4 loaves of bread. You know, so why do you think that went away and the money was more desired? Okay, so there's your writing prompt on the bottom. Be sure to use that to help you answer the question. Okay, so pause the video. Tell me what you think. Okay, but we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Now, for your exit ticket, you are going to be picking one of these 3 questions. So, number 1, what are a couple, which means 2, benefits to the 3-field system? Okay. Second one, why is it important that all manors had at least a church and some forest land? Okay, we went over that. Last one, which system is better, the barter or money? And why did you choose that one? So which one do you think is better? To do the barter, remember, something for something, food for like weapons or food for tools or, you know, things like that, or the money. Straight up, here's 3 coins, give me that shovel. Which one do you think is better? Now remember, not everyone can get coins, and not everyone gonna have like stuff to trade that's worth a value. So what do you think? Okay. So once you answer that question, you are done for this lesson. Okay. Hopefully you learned something new. The second video, the second half, will be up shortly. So if you are doing this as of on Monday, the next one should be up pretty soon. Okay. So you guys have a good day. Take care and be safe.